Hi, everyone, and welcome to Crushing Doubts Q&A every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. It's great to be here with you. Today's a very exciting day for me. We started our membership groups today. Very first meeting today. It went well. I'm very excited to have the people in it, but also excited to have an option for you guys where we can really begin to get down to that moment-to-moment battling of doubt and structuring these columns. Very important that I talk about this because I talk about moment-to-moment thinking and experience so much. And as we continue to build out our offerings, one of the things I wanted to make sure is to give an affordable option to have interaction with me on a regular basis so that you can really think about, well, what's happening? What's happening in my emotions column? What's going on with doubt? How can I get to power? To really get out there and use these columns. So, hi, Dorisa. Good to see you. It is really a great option, and I'm happy to talk with you guys about it, about what these options are. The memberships you can join to meet with me 1 time a week, 2 times a week, or 3 times a week, depending on how much support you want or need. And it is out there for you. So really looking forward to it. There is also a discount that is available all the way up through January 1st. You get what's called a founder's rate. So it's another great opportunity to make it even more affordable for you. So any questions on that, you can also let me know. I see some people have joined me. We've got Sarah Fire, who I know is Maureen. Good to see you. Michelle, good to see you. Lucy Oden, Jasper Hitchcock, Nurse Yogi Yulia, all on Instagram. And Molly Cakes has joined us on YouTube. So good to see you. You also can join me on Facebook. So I am here and ready to answer questions as needed. And we have Amrit Mangat has joined. Hi, Dr. Ratner. Amrit, it is so good to see you. It's been a long time. We need to reconnect. She said, your friend, my psychiatrist, was like, no talk therapy? Better get connected. Yes, we need to do that. So we'll connect. In the meantime, we currently have some time where we can bring in a preloaded question. So we're going to do that because sometimes we don't get to any otherwise. So here comes one from Michelle. And I'm not sure which Michelle this is, but it's come in at various points. Michelle says, I have had severe tinnitus and hyperacusis for the past 3 years. By the way, I just want to say hyperacusis is when you have an extreme sensitivity to noise and sounds, and it can be very, very unpleasant for people. So I have had severe tinnitus and hyperacusis for the past 3 years. The hyperacusis is actually getting much better, but the tinnitus has remained the same. I could accept the tinnitus as TMS if it was intermittent, as it is literally switching off and on. But because mine is constant, it gives me massive doubt, even though I really feel like I fit a TMS profile in lots of fronts. Okay, let's leave this up here just so that the viewers, as they're going through and thinking about this, can understand what the answer to my question is and kind of think about the question. So here's the thing. When I read this, I was struck by something. And this is a very important thing where the columns can be of help. Whenever I'm trying to figure out, is this a mind-body problem or does it fit with a certain profile, I think about these columns. I use my columns every day. So one of the things that I think about is if a symptom is there but not shifting, that is absolutely not, even though you could understandably wonder about this, it is not the case that means it is not a mind-body symptom at all. What it means is if it is a mind-body symptom, it exists in the doubt column. Remember, if something is chronic, or as I call it, consistently acute, not moving around much at all, that doesn't mean it's not a mind-body symptom. This is a little bit of interestingly, a symptom of the fact that the mind-body community often talks about symptoms as if they are just related to emotions. And that makes it hard for people to understand symptoms like what Michelle's talking about. If it's just about emotions, why is it never changing? Doubt is the thing that makes it never change. So, Michelle, I would say to you, let's dive in knowing that this is TMS because hyperacusis and tinnitus are almost always TMS, especially if they last for a long period of time. That makes me even more certain that they are TMS, in fact. So let's dig in. Let's explore how doubt is keeping this symptom cemented, and let's go from there. Carolyn Arnott, I see you on Instagram. Thank you for joining. We've got some questions from Molly on YouTube. She says, lately been feeling guilty about not going to a doctor. What column is that? And then she adds, what I mean is those lovely tests they say people of a certain age have to have. Yes, I am shouting, LOL. Molly, you may have missed it, but hyperacusis, that she had another question. Let's leave this question up, but she had a second question that I'm just going to answer since it's a little quicker. Hyperacusis is essentially when you have a sensitivity to certain everyday sounds. So the volume of the TV might bother you more. One that is pretty common is when people are chewing. They get really bothered by people chewing near them. There's actually a term for that, which amazingly I'm blanking on, even though I know it well. There can be all kinds of sounds that we not only experience as like we don't like them, but the people who are responding as if they don't like them, they more than don't like them. They're painful. It is painful for them. It's like nails on a chalkboard. So that's hyperacusis. Now let me get to Molly's other questions. Now, Molly, I know what you're talking about. Lovely tests that people have at a certain age that you have to have. And listen, first of all, as I often do with questions, Molly just said I get bothered when people chew a banana. Bananas are the worst for that. If you have hyperacusis of chewing, misophonia, that's the term. It finally came back to me. Misophonia is specifically hyperacusis about chewing. A banana is lethal when it comes to misophonia. Now, I want to first give some empathy to people who are grappling with going to the doctor. It's actually not so easy in a way for many people, and there are reasons for that. But one of the reasons that I want to empathize with is doctors, they have all this power in what they say and in their words, and it can make us, TMS sufferers who know what we know, afraid to go to the doctor. So one thing that I recommend is go to the doctor, listen to them about kind of life and death stuff, and tune them out otherwise. They really have a lot of harmful things to say, and harmful not, to your actual lifelong health, but they could set you into a path of doubt, get symptoms going. Doctors do it all the time. So that's one thing just to empathize about. And by the way, Scotty Stiles, I see you said hello. Thank you for joining us. Your question lately, though, about Molly, lately been feeling guilty about not going to a doctor. What column is that? Well, actually, that could show up in any column. This is the thing about the columns. Any situation can apply to all of it. It could be that it relates to some emotional theme where maybe you felt guilty about not listening to authority. I'm pulling this out of thin air, Molly. I'm not saying this is you, but that could be in the emotions column. It could be that feeling guilty that is now getting the predominant experience to be, I'm worried, I have fear. So that could be the doubt column. It also could be a power column thing. Am I going to assert my right to not go to these authority figures? Or at least if I am going to go, am I going to submit myself in some way that doesn't feel good? But if I had to guess which column is driving all of that, it's the power column. You want to find a way to go to these doctors and feel not at their mercy, to feel instead that they are providing information, some of which can be useful about life and death stuff, and just, your average checkup and making sure you're okay, and some where they're offering things that they know nothing about, that you don't need to listen to. So Molly, let me know if that makes sense to you, that it's more of a power column issue, I'm guessing. But this is a great discussion. Thank you for bringing that up. Jasper, I do see your question. I'm going to get to that in a second. Molly had another question on YouTube. You know what? Actually, Molly, hold off. I'm going to get to you. Oh, bingo. You nailed it, Dr. Dan. Okay. That's good. Good to hear. I will get back to you though about doctor anxiety, because Molly, you're noting that is a big part of what goes on for you about that. Jasper has a question on Instagram. He says, can you go through the series of questions you ask yourself when pain occurs? Great question, Jasper. So I'm going to answer that. But I do want to say this. I don't do it the same way each and every time. But I do basically do the same kinds of things. So I'm going to give you a basic gist. The first thing I do when pain occurs is, it's not even a question. I say to myself, the vast likelihood is that this is a mind-body issue. So I'm going to apply the columns. If it turns out I get worried and I may need to go to a doctor or something like that, okay, maybe, but I don't even think that way. The first thing I think is I don't think physically. I think emotionally. And I don't just mean emotionally like in the emotions column sense. When I say think emotionally, I mean think like a mind-body thinker. Mark Campbell, thank you for joining us on Instagram. So the first thing I'll ask after reminding myself to not think physically, to think emotionally, or to think at least in mind-body ideology, is what column am I working in? So the first thing I ask is this an onset or an uptick of a symptom? From what you're saying, Jasper, when pain occurs, it's largely going to be that. But I need to remind everybody, the onsets and upticks of symptoms, the emotions column is the first place I look. It is the most likely suspect. But sometimes the doubt column begins an onset. If fear just gets kicked up there, it can do it all on its own. So the primary thing I'm asking first is, what column am I working in? Is this driven by some emotional theme? Did something related to the timing relate to something that was going on for me? Reveal something that's going on for me so that I can work in the emotions column? Or did I suddenly get scared? Did a question pop up? This is doubt column, of course. Did I get confused? Am I lacking certainty? I'm always trying to find the column. So I'm also asking about the power column. I go through all three columns, Jasper. First place I usually start is emotions column, especially if it's an onset of a symptom or an uptick. I'll check there first. Then I move right over to doubt if I didn't find it right away. I'll go back to it if I need to. The power column, though, is another factor that I think about. Is there something where my core narrative is getting kicked up again? Is there some way I'm living out of alignment with it? Have I been knocked out of power with myself, with others, or with my symptoms? And if I have, what do I need to get back to it? So essentially, that's what I'm asking first. What column? And if let's say I identify the column, then Jasper, then I move into the next step of that column. So let me take a little bit of time to do that since we have some time. If it is an emotions column experience or situation, then the question that I ask myself is, how does the timing reveal which theme was active? So I find the column, and then I find what is specifically going on within that column. I'm just taking you through emotions first. Once I get that theme, and I feel pretty certain about that, then I get more specific. What did this actually mean deeply? What was the thing that hit me hard? What was the high stakes aspect? What was the broad concept? And what specifically happened? So that's it for the emotions column. But if I'm going through the doubt column, and I've identified, okay, this is more of one of those like chronic conditions, whether it's always there or it's a thing that keeps recurring and recurring and recurring. Then I can start to think of, is there something I'm not certain about? Is there a question that I have? Do I have some confusion? Is there some fear? And if I find something in those realms, then I say, what do I need to say to myself to use science and logic to challenge this? Carrie, good to see you on Instagram. And Codispato La Barbara, I think that's Rita. Good to see you, Rita. So thank you all for joining us. It's great to have you with me. Now, let me continue this last thing, and then we will move on from this question. Hi, Rita. Good to see you. So, and let me know if you're not Rita, but you have her last name. So I think it is. If I move on to the power column, yes, it is her. Just if any of you have seen the video with Rita and Tamara, it was a great video, and there's actually a lot of discussion going on YouTube. I'm going to get to that in a second, actually. But Jasper, if we're moving into the power column, the questions I ask myself is, am I out of alignment with my core narrative? Have I gotten knocked out of power with myself, with others, with my symptoms? And if so, what's the powerful move here? So that's a basic gist. I said a lot there, so hopefully not too much, but let me know. Okay. Now, Molly was saying that she does go to the doctor, but it really puts her into a really bad anxiety. I do think this is a power column thing. We've got to get you to a point where you feel like you can go to the doctor and realize you know more about this than they do. The only thing that they really know more about than you is really life or death stuff. So rely on them to go through your vitals and figure out if there's anything you need to worry about. After that, you really don't need them for much. Come here instead. We have much better information here. Hard as it may be to believe, the entire nation and the entire world doesn't understand these things very well. And I think you guys are all finding that out in your specific experience. And I'm trying to articulate what's going on so that you can see that you really are right. They do not know. Anyways, we'll keep talking about it. Hi, Laura Court. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. She says, I am new to your work, although have read and watched a lot of things on mind body. Where can I find info on the columns? And then Amrit said, Laura, his PDFs on the website are spot on. She said, thanks, Amrit. So, Laura, let me also answer just a couple more ways that you can find out more about my information. The Mind Body Guides on the website, which is www.crushingdoubt.org, can be extremely helpful for that. We do have our next seminar that's coming up. I believe it's December 6th. Let me just verify the date there. It is the first full week in December. So that begins Monday the 6th. Yes. So that's another way that you can do it. What these seminars are, Laura, they are 8 sessions, 75 minutes long each, and they are designed to get you the full information, not only of my system, but how I think about the entire mind-body world, how they talk about it, what it is that they're saying, what's the good stuff from so many of these different sources, because they really provide a lot of good stuff. How can you see it through my lens so that you can stop searching endlessly through all of this information? Now, in addition, I did start off today my group memberships, and they're pretty cost-effective ways of finding out about this. You can join, so it's one session a week, two meetings a week, or 3 meetings a week. Either one is significantly more cost-effective than any kind of therapy experience by a lot. In fact, you can pay for the whole membership, the full membership, usually in about 1 session of therapy. So you're getting a lot out of this. And what we do there is we really dig into the specifics. We go through the moment-to-moment process of being a mind-body sufferer and how to interpret it through my lens. So I highly recommend it. I'm very excited about it. It seems to be going well so far. And it's another way that I can get you help. So the seminars, the membership groups, we have Facebook groups. One is actually specific to that membership group. And there is also the Mind Body Connection group that's on Facebook. We post things all the time. I've got my podcasts, the Q&A here, and book on the way. Obviously, it keeps getting kicked down the road a little bit, but I am working on it, getting close. Okay. Tyler, and by the way, Laura, welcome. And please do let me know what you need. Jasper, I see you said power move, and I agree with what you were saying. I remember what you were talking about when I was talking about that. It's the powerful move is a very important thing to consider. Okay, Tyler Hathaway. Hi, Tyler. Good to see you. He says, hi, Dan. How do you reduce doubt-induced fear on your own in moments where you can't get questions answered or doubts resolved? Okay, let's leave this one up here too, because there's a lot of things I need to answer about it. The first thing, Tyler, is that when you identify it as doubt, that takes away a huge amount of its power already. One of the ways that doubt gets you all is that it doesn't come out and say it's doubt. It comes to you and says, I've got this very serious problem. It's a real problem. Just by labeling it doubt and recognizing, no, this is not necessarily a serious problem. This is you trying to get me to doubt. Everything comes down then. Your whole central nervous system will calm down just by recognizing, oh, you're just trying to scare me. I don't need to worry about this that much. So that's the first thing. And part of the reason I answer it that way is when you can't get questions answered or doubts resolved, if you can at least be sure that it's doubt, that's a starting point. Another way that you can get some help, Tyler, is to recognize, well, what form of doubt is it? Is it just garden variety uncertainty? Is it that you actually have a question? Now, let's say you have a question, Tyler, and you can't get it answered. Well, the least you can do is just make a note of it. Okay, I'm going to write down this question. I'm going to see how do I get an answer? Just by knowing there's a process of moving forward, you can also reduce things. You're going to get that question answered. If it's a fear, you might try to identify that fear very specifically and ask yourself, is this a realistic fear? Is this something that I, should have on my mind as a real possibility? Most fears are completely unfounded. They're usually built on some kind of logic, but they're usually completely unfounded. So The first thing you want to do is calm yourself down, recognize it's doubt, maybe recognize the form of doubt, get it more specific form. These are things you can do on your own, or at least try to do on your own. If you can't do it, that's okay. Another thing you can do is to identify, is it level 1 doubt, level 2 doubt, or level 3 doubt? Remember, level 1 doubt is when you're not sure it's a mind-body symptom or a physical one, purely physical one, because it's all physical. Or the second one, level 2 doubt, I believe it's a mind-body issue for sure, but does it really go this far? Can I cure it all the way? And then the third one is, do I have it within myself to get better, or is there something wrong with me? So, Tyler, I think the main thing is you've got tools to recognize that it's doubt. You've got tools to find out more about the information all on your own. And then you have backup. So if you have a question and you can't get it answered, bring it to me. There's lots of ways to do it. Tyler, let me know if I answered your question well enough. We have a question coming in from Facebook. Ryan Edson. Ryan, good to see you. He said, a milestone. The other day, I had 4 hours of totally pain-free while at work after 15 years in pain. Ryan, I'm so happy for you. This is exciting. It was a foreign experience. I didn't know what to do and was afraid to lose the experience. I was also sad. Not what I would have expected. Can you speak to this type of experience after years of pain? Okay, please leave this one up too, please. So Ryan, first of all, what you're describing is very, very typical in a lot of ways. I've experienced it many times, both myself when I was recovering and also hearing from other people. So first of all, there is that foreign experience. And I remember that feeling of, can this actually last? Can this miracle be real? It gets very scary. We think, oh my God, it won't. And here's the thing. Usually it does. It's not like people usually get those book cures you hear about where the pain just vanished and never came back. There's so much doubt in there that it's likely to come back. But what you need to remember is, having gotten that, you now know it's a mind-body experience. It's not even possible that you could have just from your mind made pain go away for 4 hours randomly. So you've got a building block. I want you to remember that you're building towards something. Now, in terms of the sadness, I think that a lot of times we process sadness when things are over. As this is starting to end, all of that self-empathy that maybe you weren't able to have, or all of the sadness you had maybe about people not having empathy for you, a sense of all that time lost, there's a lot of sadness in it. Makes perfect sense. What I want to reassure you about is that that changes over time. You'll mourn those years. I mean, 15 years in pain. I had 8 years in pain. That's long chunks of time. It's a lot to mourn. So I want to do two things with you. I want to build up your sense that this is a stepping stone to bigger things. It is a victory that you're going to hold on to, a definite milestone. And if you keep working it down, you will push it off a cliff, and then you'll climb down and push it off another cliff and keep going and going and going. This is very big, and I'm proud of you. I'm excited, and not the end of this. Now, I know you were thinking you'd love to be part of the membership groups, but the timing doesn't work for you in terms of your work hours. I don't know. Let's see if we can work this out somehow, because if you can have some moment-to-moment guidance, it would really help you. Either way, we'll get you help. Let's just figure out a way. But thank you for sharing this incredible victory. What you're describing does make sense to me, and let me know if that made sense of it to you. Okay. Molly on YouTube says, but doctors make you worry about stuff like cholesterol being high and such, in which I have found is not even a thing to worry about. Hope that made sense. Yes. Actually, Molly, that's a very good point. I say trust doctors for life and death stuff, and then they say stuff that's like, oh, well, this is life and death, or this is going to be a big deal. They even do it in terms of pain. They say, well, you could have this for the rest of your life, and you're going to have pain for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, especially some of the worst doctors out there can say very scary, very upsetting things. And then there are things like cholesterol, where it's not entirely clear that it makes much of a difference at all. Now, blood pressure, for example, that can make a difference. They can monitor what's going on in a variety of ways, but it is true that sometimes they're talking about things that aren't even that important. If I can be of help, maybe bring the issues up specifically and we can target that, because that's part of what we need to do to reduce fear. She says, I admit I do have trust issues with doctor's advice. I wonder why. They've given you a lot of reason to distrust them. And that makes it really hard. The medical community, to me, they have a lot of repairing to do. I think a lot of communities do. The therapy community, the psychology community, they have a lot of repairing to do also. They've done some things that were really not helpful. Now, meanwhile, Molly says, my therapist was $500 an hour and she sucked. I'm sorry, Molly. I'm so sorry. Then she said, I think the doctor problem with me is also doubt in pharmaceutical and doctors pushing drugs like statins. Absolutely. The doctor's visits for a mind-body sufferer are riddled with problems, and I'm happy to help you guys navigate the minefield. Okay, Tyler says, makes sense. Thanks, Dan. Good. I'm glad we made sense of that. Now, let me just catch up on Instagram because I am behind. Okay, Scotty Styles says, I have been struggling with a new symptom of foot pain for 3 weeks now and wondering if I need power column work since the onset was a while ago now. Anxiety and catastrophizing reinforcing pain. I know fear is driving this. Okay. So Scotty, here's what I would say. If you're 3 weeks out and you know fear is driving it, you're primarily going to start your work in the doubt column. Okay. This is fear. Fear, we know, is one of the forms of doubt. This has also lasted beyond just, some average moments. So it's not behaving like a purely emotions column issue anymore. It's entered into doubt column territory. Now, power column work could be something that you're going to use as a solution to this. But the place I want to start is in the doubt column. We've located it as fear. You said anxiety, catastrophizing, fear. It sounds very, very doubt dominated. So even though there's going to be a power column solution, I'm sure, because the power column can be so useful in solutions, I would look in the doubt column. Scotty, let's weigh in. You can say more on that. Okay, looks like Rhonda has joined us on Instagram. Good to see you. I think it's Rhonda. Ron 1971, but RHON. Okay. We have a question coming in from Facebook. Susie Cairns, good to see you, Susie. She says, I believe all my symptoms arise from my trauma 100%, but they are mind-body/TMS. But trying to strengthen muscles, etc., is proving hopeless. However, if I don't exercise, I will get even weaker. Just very confused as to how to approach this. Okay, so Susie, I'm going to give you a suggestion, and you see if it works for you. If it doesn't, you push back, you challenge the question, or you raise another question, and we'll keep it going. Here's the thing that I think about muscle strength. I understand your fear, absolutely. But if you can, if you've come to trust me enough over the time we've spent together, and trust can be a big part of what can help you get better. What I can tell you is that if you try some physical strengthening exercises, it is absolutely possible that your pain could go up temporarily because it's a trigger. So you could get scared. In fact, I would guess that first time you might get scared, but maybe it doesn't go up as much as you thought, and then you're able to get it to go away. What I want you to do is work through that fear so that you can get to a point where you can know this basic fact. It can hurt, but it will not harm you. You will not do any damage to yourself. You also won't get stuck in some kind of fear loop, because if you get really afraid, contact me and I will help you see how you can work to get better from this. There's always answers. And I want you to not be afraid that there's never any way out. The basic gist, though, is you don't have to worry about muscles atrophying. People can get their muscles pretty much all the way back up to speed in about a month. So it's not even going to take that long. It's more a matter of mastering the fear. Susie, please let me know if I answered your question well enough. Okay, we have Laura Court on YouTube, and then Carrie, I'm going to get to you on Instagram. And Rhonda says, yes, I was right. It is Rhonda. Hi, Dan. Good to see you, Rhonda. Okay, Laura's question, or maybe it's an observation. I will see. She says, thank you. I have chronic pain. And Laura, meanwhile, if you're just joining us, she was asking me, because she's newer to my work, how she can get the information. So that's what she was thanking me for, because I told her. She says, I have chronic pain and fatigue, and I know that it is caused by my emotions and lack of the feeling of safety. Would like to start incorporating mind-body knowledge into everyday life. Laura, I'm really glad you're here. I think it's great. Once people are on this journey, you can get so much out of this. And in fact, Laura, this community can be very helpful to you. We have a lot of people here who have made significant gains. We also have people here who maybe haven't made the gains they want to yet, but it's making sense to them. And that alone is relieving, because you guys have so much information coming at you from so many different directions. You've got misinformation coming from medicine, from a lot of psychology. You've got all kinds of different information coming from the mind-body community, much of which is very good, but some of it seems contradictory or isn't so organized. My system does have it has many advantages, but one advantage it does have is that it organizes how to think about the whole mind-body field. How do you think about the whole structure, and why does it all make sense when you look at it through a columns perspective? It also incorporates in the power column a lot about safety and incorporating trauma. So, Laura, please, let's be in touch. Let's figure out what it is that you need to explore my system and figure out if it feels like it's for you and how it can be of help. I personally believe it's for everybody. That's what I built it for. But you let me know how you're thinking about it, and we can certainly talk. Hi, Joni Miller. You're saying hi. I want to say hi to you. Oh, you have a question coming up, so I'll get to that in a second. So hold that thought. Carrie has a question coming in from Instagram. She says, to me, it seems more like looking for the right solution. Thought on if it is harmful, or continue to work on finding the right information and ignore that is perfectionism in a harmful form. Yes. So I think, Carrie, you let me know if I have this right in terms of what you're saying. But I think what Carrie's saying is that when we're looking for the right solutions, it can take different forms. One can be a form that moves you forward, that gets you information. In a way, this relates to what I talk about A questions and B questions. A questions are questions, these are names that I gave, but they're questions that mean or that move you towards information. They're designed to get you a more honed understanding of things. They're curious, they're interested, they're hungry to see what it is that is driving all this. B questions are actually not driven by you. They're driven by doubt, the doubting part of yourself, or the part of yourself that wants to make doubt. And they are designed to create fear and bring about confusion and bring up dead ends and make you have not a lot of hope in the system. The only people that I work with who don't tend to get better are the ones who lose out to doubt. It's, I'm sorry to say it in a kind of blunt form, but it really is true that a lot of people, they don't realize when doubt is coming in. Even when I tell them, I say, hey, that's doubt. And they're like, no, I think this might be real. And I'm like, trust me, it's doubt. And I will try to explain why. But if you guys can stay focused on recognizing that doubt is always going to try to creep back in, and if you can recognize it, it won't do anything, then you can stay out of trouble. Now, meanwhile, what Carrie is, trouble with the symptoms, of course. Now, what Carrie's talking about, though, is that when you're looking for a solution and you get really perfectionistic and you're looking at the information, you're going over and over, and that in and of itself can become a harmful thing where you cannot get to certainty. My system is designed to look at the science and the logic of things in an organized way with the columns so that you can really put that stuff to rest. And Carrie, you can speak to it. I think we've been having some good success with it where you're feeling, I don't want to speak for you, but it has seemed like you feel like this is offering something you weren't getting before. I certainly hope to give that to you, because if you're going to get better, it's going to be because you're getting something different than what you were getting before. Okay, Bob has a question on YouTube. He says, when I locate a doubt, I feel I'm gaining in the power column. Am I thinking right? Absolutely. These columns help each other. They support each other. I often say, find the column that you're working in primarily, but no, they all help each other. When you bring down a doubt, I mean, look, the power column was born out of the fact that I crushed doubt. The minute I conquered doubt, I don't know if it came down to the minute, but when I did manage to conquer doubt, the more that I managed to conquer it, I invented the power column from crushing doubt. So Bob, you are 100% right. Now, meanwhile, these columns can affect each other. When you're feeling powerful, doubt cowers in the corner. It doesn't really want to come out. It's like, you'll absolutely slam me. Or here's another example of columns affecting each other. When you master a symptom, when you realize, when you pair a symptom, is a better way of saying it. When you have an emotion that leads to a symptom and you see it so clearly, that's a huge game changer in your battle against doubt because it's so clear. There's no way that it could be anything different. So Bob, you have it exactly right. The columns really affect each other. Dorisa has a comment. She says, Qigong and Tai Chi has helped me strengthen my muscles. It looks like Dorisa, one of the messages got retracted for some reason, but you're saying you were searching for something on YouTube. You probably put something in there that somehow YouTube censored in some way, but there's YouTube videos to connect on that. If people need that information, send me an email, dan@crushingdoubt.org, or send one to Greg at crushingdoubt.org, and we'll find that answer for you, or maybe link you up with Dorisa if she's willing to. So thank you for offering that. And Dorisa, I think from what I know about you and these experiences, that Qigong and Tai Chi not only helped you strengthen your muscles, but one of the advantages of it is it does so in a pretty gentle way, or at least it gives gentle options. So that's something to think about. Okay, we have Ionia, cool spelling, nice palindrome, has joined us on Instagram. I get mesmerized by palindromes. Okay, Carrie, you said see above in the Instagram. I think that must mean I missed something. Yes. Okay, so when I answered Carrie's question, I apologize about this. I missed the first half of her question. She said, I've been working on recovery for 3 years and have made a lot of progress. I'm always keeping my eye on being 100% better. I've heard this is perfectionism in a harmful form. So that's what she was referring to. Sorry, Carrie, I butchered your question and made it seem like you weren't making sense a little bit, but you were making much more sense than it even turned out I thought you were in the first place. So I think we did answer that question, Carrie. And you just let me know if that, answered it to your satisfaction. As you know, I tell people, get your questions answered to your satisfaction. Okay, Joni Miller has a question. If I could get past the anxiety that triggers pain from dreams almost every morning, I would be ahead of the game. What do you think about shadow work to help with vivid dreams? Okay, let's hold this up there. Carrie says I did answer her question, so good, Carrie. That's exactly what I'm here for. Glad that helped. Okay, now, Joni, let's leave this question up here. One thing I want to say, this is a really interesting thing about me, I think, in terms of how I interface with things that just, I don't know what you guys will think about this, but I'm not always well versed in certain terminology or certain ways of practicing. I'm so practically minded that I often don't even think in those terms. So when you say shadow work, I don't even actually know entirely what that means. And I apologize for my ignorance about that. When I think about it, it sounds like something from, what's his name? The psycho, Carl Jung. So I don't know if that's the case, but usually when you tell me more about it, I'll be able to weigh in even more about it. What I will say is I don't think I need to know that to weigh in about this idea of vivid dreams. I think that dreams are very similar to symptoms. I say that symptoms are like a waking dream. So dreams are like a sleeping symptom. And what we want to do is help you to think about what's the meaning, to decode it. Now, if shadow work is the thing that helps you decode it, great. Whatever it is that helps you understand you in a more cohesive way is the thing to do. And Joni, one thing that could help with you is a core narrative. The core narrative, it's so interesting to me. I sometimes have this experience, and I certainly did myself, that when I got a sense of what my core narrative was, I don't think I have many scary dreams anymore. I used to have scary dreams all the time. And I figured out how to control them with lucid dreaming a little bit. I'm not very good at lucid dreaming, but I was able to at least recognize when I'm getting scared in a dream and just change something slightly so it's not so scary. But I almost never have scary dreams anymore. And I think it's because of my power column. So, Joni, let's consider that. Let me know what you think. Now, Molly was responding to you. She said, I can relate to the dreams too. I try my best to forget them as soon as I wake up. That actually helps me. The interesting thing is you will forget dreams, usually, very quickly. And that's one of the reasons we can't usually get that much out of them and why symptoms are so much more useful, because they're there with us and they don't just disappear after 10 seconds. Now, really hard dreams, traumatic dreams or upsetting dreams in certain ways can stick with you. So that can be hard. Molly Cake says, is anxiety kind of the same as doubt? Yes. Anxiety is a form of doubt. Hopelessness is a form of doubt. Depression is a form of doubt. Suicidal ideation is a form of doubt. It's very important that we start to label all kinds of things doubt that really funnel everything into one arena that we can work with. And it's one of the reasons I have found the term doubt to be so useful. When I was first using it with people, I sometimes got some people would question, is that the right term? And as I thought about it, it really was, because it captures the broadness of the whole thing, about the fact that doubt can come in so many forms. Anything that leaves you with questions, anything that leaves you with confusion, anything that you just can't get certain about, or any fear, that is all doubt. And anxiety is, it is the same as doubt. One thing I'll say, Molly, is that anxiety is, I guess I would say it this way. Anxiety is a symptom like any other mind-body symptom, and we can treat it as such. But there is a component to which our thought process, the way we are thinking about things in anxiety and in anxious ways, is exactly the same as doubt. Very good observation. Dorisa said Qigong and Tai Chi help calm your nervous system as well. So that's also very helpful. One thing I want to add to what Dorisa is saying, sometimes I get questions about this, about, how come your system doesn't incorporate calming the nervous system as much? And the thing that I say back to them is my system does calm the nervous system, but it does it from the source. There are many things you can do to calm it, not from the source, but just to calm it down. And they're great. I meditate. I can teach you how I do my meditation, but I don't like to work with things just at the symptom level, right at the top. I like to get at the base of it. What is causing it? And if we can understand things, and this columns work as an example, you get a much greater degree of calmness. And then you put Qigong and Tai Chi and meditation on top of it, you're going to be nice and calm. It's going to be helpful. You can use them in concert. Laura Court, I see you joined on Instagram, so good to see you there too. Okay, Ryan Novak has a comment. He says, sometimes I'll get skin rashes that I know are mind body. It's not distracting or even that annoying. Why does the brain even bother? Great question. Other symptoms trouble me much more at the same time. Same with tinnitus. Okay, Ryan, I will do my best to answer this, but I want you to follow up. We might not have time today, but we can follow up more on this. Or you know what? I'll even add it to the preloaded questions for next time so that we can get to this more. But I am going to answer it in brief. So you're saying, why does the brain even bother with a minor symptom? Well, this is actually really good evidence of the fact that symptoms are not just always a distraction away from emotional experience. They also are a communication. So why does it bother? It's because it's communicating something to you. And the fact that you're saying it's not distracting or even that annoying is showing that the thing it's communicating to you isn't even that annoying. As an example, and I've said this before, I rarely ever sneeze without it being a mind-body issue. I don't even say an issue, without being a mind-body experience. I recognize it all the time. If I'm irritated just a little bit, I'll sneeze. So if you ever see me sneeze on here, I'll freely admit I'm irritated about something. A lot of times it's just something in my own head, has nothing to do with you, but it's expressing something, Ryan. And I think our body is, I say this very often, the body is the most empathic entity we have. It always is in your corner. It always cares about what's happening to you. And even if it's minor, it's still going to care. And so I would say that's pretty much what's going on. Same with tinnitus. Absolutely. It's like it's expressing mild annoyance. And if you can get in touch with what that theme is, then those symptoms would actually go away, with one caveat, which is sometimes attentional TMS, where you can't get your mind off of certain symptoms. That requires a little bit of a different interaction. All right. Laura Court said, haha, I wanted to make sure I followed on other platforms too. Laura, thank you. Thank you for following. And you can access us on all these different platforms. And I'm happy to interact with you as needed. Carolyn Rubin, good to see you. Okay. We're going to take 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up for tonight. Molly says, walking in nature calms my nervous system more than anything else, and riding my bike in nature. Love nature and trails, the great calmer. Molly, I can totally relate to you. I lived in Brooklyn for 15 years, and by the end of it, I felt like I needed to be taken to a hospital. But when I would get into nature, I felt much calmer. But here's the thing. Some people are calmer in the city. I can't relate to it. But what you want to do is find the things that calm you. And it's like what Dorisa said, you can utilize those. But concentrate on your columns, understanding you, concentrate on your core narrative, who you are at your core, what you need, what would be the powerful move for you. And you will get even more relief from all of that lack of calmness in the nervous system. We'll finish up on Joni Miller's comment. She says, my core narrative has been working when I'm awake. I just wondered how it can crush the doubt in the unconscious. All right, Joni. So the main thing I'll say to this is that the key thing that we can think about here is when you work well enough when you're awake and it really becomes a part of who you are, it will be with you when you're asleep. When it's truly solidified, when there is no doubt, you will sleep in the same state. You'll know it. And that's the main thing I'll say to it. Now, Joni, I'm going to add that to preloaded questions for next time too, because we can follow up on it more. And if you're here, we can discuss it live. If not, I'll discuss it more because I think, if assuming we have time to get to it, and eventually we will, I think it's a really important question, this divide between waking and sleeping and how to deal with symptoms in a different way. But if you do that work in the conscious experience, your unconscious, it'll just take care of itself. You're getting there. Guys, it is a pleasure being with you. I'm so proud of you all. I love hearing about the successes that you're having. I don't shy away from when you're having a struggle in some way. Doubt's going to try to make you think, oh, there's a big time problem. That's just doubt. We will master it. We'll keep at it. Remember, there are lots of ways to work with me and to access me. Scotty Styles says, thank you. You're welcome, Scotty. Good to see you here. But remember, there's lots of ways to access me. You can email me, dan@crushingdoubt.org. You can come to these group membership meetings. They are available on the website, www.crushingdoubt.org. You can find them on all social media as well. You can sign up for the seminars, which begin December 6th, this next time. That's the last seminar of this year, so pounce on it early. You can talk to people in these groups, by the way, and even in these Q&As to find out, hey, did you go to the seminar? What did you think? And people can share that information. So lots of ways to interface with me. I will get you the help one way or another. The key is, do not forget, doubt is crafty. It's going to make you think this won't work. That is exactly what it's going to try to do. Even with my system, fight it and utilize me and each other for help. Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to seeing you same time next week. It's been a pleasure.